Hey, Local 145, welcome to the January General Membership Meeting. We apologize for the slight change, but due to COVID restrictions and precautions, we wanted to be as safe as possible. And so for that reason, we're going to have a presentation style union meeting. We encourage you, if you have any questions that aren't addressed through this presentation, to please reach out to your division reps, or you can email any of the board members. We'll be sure to answer those and kick them out via email so that all members have the opportunity to review that information. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. It looks like we have all of our officers, with the exception of A Division, who is off this evening. So we will start with the President's report. I just have a couple items here to discuss. One, we had an amazing win, Proposition B. As you know, it went back to the Superior Court for the quo warranto to invalidate Proposition B. It's been the bane of our existence for the last several years, and fortunately, the judge gave us a favorable decision. That being said, we just talked to our legal counsel about the most recent update. The ballot proponents, the people who supported Proposition B, objected to the interpretation from the judge's decision. And so they're going back and forth now trying to work out exactly what was implied by the judge that will ultimately end up back in front of that judge. And then once they receive, both sides receive clarification, there will be a between 90 and 120 day waiting period, it sounds like, for all parties of interest to exhaust the timeline to appeal. If it is appealed, if that decision is appealed, it would go to the 4th District Court of Appeals, which you guys are all familiar with. We've been there before with the initial ruling, but we will absolutely keep you updated, knowing that that is one of the biggest issues that still faces our membership. Moving down, just a little housekeeping. Local 145 bylaw amendments. Now almost a year ago, we had proposed 3 bylaw amendments to the Local 145 membership prior to COVID starting. We did talk about all 3 of those amendments or proposed amendments at the general membership meetings, 2 to be exact, per the bylaws. And so the next step was really to send those out by mail so that all members could have the opportunity to vote on those proposed amendments. Just to review, one was an expansion of our statement supporting diversity. One was kind of refining the membership classifications that currently exist. And then one was to form a consistent bylaw revision timeline so that we weren't constantly, saddled with some step of bylaw revision. Some were at their first meeting, some were at their second meeting. We were constantly coming to you, asking for you to vote on these things. And so we do need to move forward with that. Our intention is to send that out via mail here, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And we'll give you all the supporting documentation that was discussed on those, and we'll definitely take it from there. The next item, just want to touch on real briefly, is the FLSA lawsuit update. Again, checked with legal counsel. We know everybody's frustrated, definitely wants to put that issue behind them. Sounds like the next big step in that process is going to be our side meeting with the judge overseeing this case on February 5th. And then we said, hey, best case scenario, if everything is resolved and worked out at that meeting, what is the likely timeline until members start seeing those payout amounts? And we were told about 90 days from February 5th. So if there are any problems that develop along the way, we'll update you, but please stand by for more information and just know that that's still being worked on through the court system. That's all I have specifically for the President's report. So I'm going to switch over to Vice President George Duardo for a little bit more. George.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm going to go ahead and update all of you in negotiations. This is obviously a hot button issue. I get asked typically 2 to 3 times a day, and also receive phone calls. But really, it's a good time to kind of refresh folks on the timetable and really some expectations, because we are in unprecedented times. The way I really describe it is there's some opportunities, but we also have some headwinds ahead of us. The opportunities, without a doubt, is we have to identify those things that we've succeeded in. And those things, whether it's the mayor, the council, even the county, up to and including our fire chief in his own recording, saying that he's having a new dialogue with city leaders. Those are all positives. The hard work that you've all done, I can't tell you how proud I am the fact that there's 50 vaccinators, right? We've actually made a difference. The positive media out of how we're part of the solution is amazing. And by all means, that is a product of your work ethic. And in these unprecedented times, we're stepping up to the plate. So many would say, well, does that equate to a raise? And by all means, for myself, Jesse, Tony, and Jim Cunningham, we have had weekly dialogue about what that means. With our unprecedented times, it's meant even our timeline being pushed back a bit. Chief Stoll related how the budget has been pushed back a bit, but why has it been pushed back a bit? Not only is it COVID, but we have a new council and a new mayor to bring up to speed. The city, out of their due diligence, and this is something every city does, is must get a good understanding of their revenues as well as their debt. And so the city of San Diego has done that. They are bringing new council and the mayor up to speed. Fortunately, there is a legacy COO that has experience with the city, but none of that comes quickly. And it is a bit frustrating because so many of us have expected and deserve a perceived, but not only a perceived, but a well overdue raise in our minds. And largely, we have a duty to represent how hard you all work and how much you deserve that raise. And I feel we will absolutely do that. But let me move on to some of the headwinds because that is important to relate. We have done a deep dive in the city finances. TOT revenue is down, and that's transient occupancy tax. Transient occupancy tax is the money that is brought in by those that visit the city of San Diego, stay in our hotels, go to the convention center. So those dollars are down. Our sales tax is clearly down with restaurants, movie theaters. All of those dollars are down. Our care dollars, so that was the first stimulus that was passed, and that was in the order of $248 million. Those dollars dried up as the year came to a close. Now, there's a lot of talk about a next stimulus plan, and that's in the order of $1.9 trillion. Now, as much as we're hopeful, and some of our political wins could equate to a positive outcome there, we clearly cannot rely on that currently. So we are doing our best to continue a dialogue with our IFF as well as our CPF and review what that looks like so that we understand if there's an opportunity there, we ask for those dollars. And then as we talk about headwinds, we should also talk about what's happening throughout the state of California and the country to other fire service agencies. We fortunately have so many relationships that have been built over the years, but we're hearing loud and clear, whether it's Oakland Fire Department that just browned out stations starting on Saturday, or it's LA City that's deferring a raise for 18 months in order not to brown out their stations. There is some real economic pain out there, and departments are already feeling it. Now, you ask, does that mean we're not getting a raise? That does not mean that. We will go in there, we will look for money, we will fight for money, we will absolutely work on your behalf. I can tell you, that this negotiating team is putting forth many of the same proposals we just put forth a year ago. And we will not just lower our expectations because of this economy, but we want to convey that there are some definite headwinds out there. But I'll leave you with this, just the optimism of keep doing what you're doing, because that doesn't make a difference. Politicians have thanked us for your work, and I want to convey that. So thank you. Have a good evening.
Very well said, George. Thank you. Moving over to Secretary Treasurer Tony Tosca. Tony?
Thanks, Jesse. So the ultimate plan was to have a budget presentation, like a quarterly update, but being that we're in this forum, it's just going to be kind of a brief overview. But the budget's looking good. We're on track to hit our marks where we want to be. Still got a couple of things happening, but some of the expenses that we've had on the operating end, we're gauged for improvements at the local. Just some minor stuff, but nothing that really to be concerned about. All of other line items are looking good on the operating expenses. For the income, we've had some anticipated legal and reimbursements, which is also looking good, but we're also on track overall there for the income and what's expected. I'll make sure that we have a nice presentation prepared when we're able to have a meeting again in person, and we can have the appropriate forum for that. But overall, again, we're looking good. One of the things I wanted to touch base on is just some of the payroll stuff that's been kind of coming our way. And to begin with, just make sure that when you have an identified payroll issue, you can obviously reach out to your rep for some guidance, but you want to give a good detailed explanation, reach out to your payroll representative, and you don't want to just send them a mystery and a work bill to work on. You want to give them some detailed information so they can verify and look at it and get back to you. But the expected timelines in Article 62 of our MOU is 24 hours for urgent matters. Urgent matters are those things that you would lose, like you have a significant hardship, you might lose a benefit, something to that effect. So for 24 hours, you should get a confirmation of receipt, and also for 10 days for non-urgent. And those are the typical things. You have questions and you provide them that detailed information. But the appropriate way to deal with it is to follow up with your payroll representative and say, hey, I'm just following up on this. And if you don't get a response, then you can CC your supervisor and their supervisor, and you typically do get a quick response. But that's kind of the goal and the intent of the 24 and 10-day timeline. But just make sure you go to Article 62 and review that. If you have any questions, you can reach out to your rep, and you can also reach out to me for something you have some questions on, some complicated matters. Next thing I was going to talk about is for those folks that are fortunate to have the opportunity to use drop. So every June 30th, those members that intend to extend drop with annual leave have to identify it in the fiscal year prior. So that's why that June 30th timeline is there. But there's something called a paid file. A paid file is an electronic identification from SD Sears that gets sent to payroll. And that gives the definitive timeline that you're going to enter drop. And to give yourself a safe cushion, you want to give yourself, we're going to say 2 weeks, because it usually takes anywhere from about 1 week for that electronic paid file transfer to go to payroll, and then they can act and then take your drop extension hours and effectively say you're in drop, and take your future prospective annual leave for the next year and put it into a drop extension bucket. So just make sure when that bulletin comes out early or late May, early June, that you look at that and make sure if you're going to intend to extend drop with annual leave, that you do it at least 2 weeks before the end of June. Any questions, follow up with me, send me an email or your rep. That can be found in Article 28, Section J of our MOU. Lastly, I was going to talk about, I'm going to do a screen share of our legal policy. And this is for folks that certain circumstances, again, we want to talk about having you follow up with your rep if you have any issues for administrative issues or anything that requires representation. But in those unfortunate circumstances where we do need to seek legal counsel, you should refer to our legal policy for the potential approval of reimbursement of legal fees. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up and do a screen share. So just bear with me for a moment. So if you go to our local 145 website, hopefully everyone can see this. You're going to go to members area. And then once you hit members area after you're logged in, you're going to scroll down to our library. When you get to the library, you're going to click on it and you're going to see policies. You click on that, you can preview it or you can download it right away. So here's our policy governing legal services. And just take some time to review it if you get into that unfortunate circumstance. But like I said before, a lot of these issues, most of the time, 99% of the time, we typically can handle this before it even gets to a position where you need legal representation from a legal counsel. Because our reps are very good at handling and weeding through policies and representing you. Just reach out to your rep and hopefully we can prevent this from ever getting there. But part of this policy, just to know some of the points to read through, is that if you're going to have legal services that are approved by the board, it has to be pre-established and approved prior to you getting legal counsel. The board will approve it if you seek somebody, or we can select somebody for you. But some of the things that we typically don't afford legal services representation for is criminal civil matters. We also don't do work comp related issues, retirement issues, and EEO type related. Those are traditionally not done, but most of the administrative and typical policy type of things are. So go ahead and take the time to download this and have it at your disposal. But any of your reps can also point you to this. And if you have any issues with getting to the website, you can also contact me to update your access to the website. But I think that's all I had on mine. Do a quick check, but that's it. Turn it over to the next person.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. Good stuff. We'll shift over to Director at Large, Mark Morrison. Mark?
Good evening. Just real basic, I'll keep it brief. Just to remind our members, it's really important, no matter how complex or basic any issue you come across is. Listen, if you have any questions about whether or not a process is an issue, or you just want to have some guidance through anything, please reach out to your reps. That's what we're here for. And also, just with the integration of Firefighter Bill of Rights, and as we navigate through all of that, it's an important thing to make sure that everybody is staying in their lanes and everybody's benefiting from our representation. So please, any issue whatsoever, reach out to your reps. If you don't know who it is, get a hold of me. I'm at Ones on B, and we'll get you steered in the right direction. But that's all I have for this evening.
Cool. Thank you, Mark. Next, we'll do B Division Rep, Jack Middleton. Jack?
Hi there, Jack Middleton here, B Division Rep, as Jesse said. I just wanted to go over a couple of things. Mark already talked about reaching out early and taking advantage and utilizing us to make sure that the process goes smoothly if you find yourself in a situation that you might not want to be in. So more specifically, there's a process going on out there called a supervisory investigation that a lot of people haven't heard of. And it's basically a scaled down version of a fact finding that's trying to address typically lower level situations where the timeline and work put in by BCs is not necessary in the entire fact finding process. So I just want to put that on your radar, a supervisory investigation. Firefighter Bill of Rights still is in play. Still reach out to your division rep. And that's it on that. switching gears a little bit, kind of want to talk about the current state of our operations. I work at a busy firehouse. I know what everybody's going through. Everybody's been asked to do more, risk more. It's taken its toll. I get it. I just want to encourage everybody to stay strong, stay positive, stay the course, and just continue to do what firefighters do. Be professional. And I personally, and I know the board is appreciative of everything that you guys are doing out there. It's a lot of hard work. And I think Jesse spoke to it. A lot of people are taking notice. The department, council, the public. So continue doing that. And then I just want to end on a note here. Christmas Day fire, tragic fire. Fortunately, no one lost their lives, but 7 people lost their home, and 2 little girls specifically over in 19's district. Local 145 stepped up, took notice, and the Community Responsibility Fund, if you're not a part of that, I highly recommend you join. The funds from that were able to basically give this family a Christmas, which they lost that evening, clothing, toys, etc. So if you could see the smiles on their faces, it was pretty rewarding. So that's all I got. Continue to work hard. Thank you. That's it.
Excellent message, Jack. And yes, just to add on to what Jack said with Mobile Santa, if you're not familiar, we do Mobile Santa every year. I think this was our 32nd or 33rd year. And not only did we touch the family that Jack headed up for us, but we reached out and we changed Christmas for 18 other families in deserving areas. So that is just an excellent program. And I want to just reiterate what Jack said. If you're not part of CRF, please consider contributing, because those are member funds going to a 501c3. It is tax deductible, and you really are changing lives with those dollars. So thank you for being part of that. So we will next.
Jesse, mind if I just kind of add a little bit to Jack's last statement?
Absolutely, Mark, please.
I've had some really good conversations with some folks recently, and just kind of touching base on these trying times and everything. Please remember that there are resources if you're having any kind of difficulties with all the stuff that's going on. There's focus, peer support, all of it. So please, if you do find yourself in the darkness, please reach out, because that is important to us as well. And just remember that there are resources out there for you.
Cool. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you adding that. We'll shift over to C Division Rep John Fritchell next. John?
Yeah, thanks, Jesse. Being kind of near the end of the list, really at this point, I'll kind of echo what a couple of people said. One thing with Tony and the payroll, make sure that everybody is checking their pay stubs. And I know they're kind of difficult to understand, but it's not impossible. You can pay attention. You can understand where your values are and your trade deficits and so on. So if you have issues with those, reach out to your division reps. We can help you out. But you are responsible for your own payrolls or your pay stubs. The other thing, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, as far as discipline and whatnot, again, Jack and Mark already touched on it, but any questions as to any discipline or anything along those lines, if people ask you to write statements or give statements, please reach out to your division rep prior to doing so, and we can help guide you through that process. So that's all I really got.
Okay, thank you, John. Next, we're going to go over to the straight day rep, Micah Doan. Micah?
Hello, members. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. I don't have much on the straight day front, but what I did want to talk about was I coming back from a broken foot from an injury, and I was able to will work out in operations a couple times for the first time in a long time. And I just wanted to say I was pleasantly surprised. I want to thank the crews I worked with, number one, but I do want to say I was pleasantly surprised that the compliance with mask wearing, because the way I see it, it's not about me per se, but it's about all of us. So I was really pleased to see everybody complying with mask wearing and then social distancing and things like that. So it made for a real easy shift, and everybody did what they were supposed to do. It was great. On that note, I received my first vaccine, and I know a lot of you have, so good job on that. One thing that of note, though, it's kind of a cool statistic, is that initially we had about 20% of our members that or 80% compliance, or people that did go get the vaccine, which is great. Ideally, we're trying to get to that 100% mark so we can get to the end of this thing. About 20% of our members declined the vaccine initially, but the cool thing is after researching more or getting the information that they felt like they needed to feel comfortable with it, we have seen a drop in that number down to about 17% right now. So that's a good thing. And those of you who still have not gotten it, please do what you need to do. Seek out the information, contact the people you need to contact. But that vaccine is there for us. And you know what I mean? It's available for you as soon as you're ready to get it. So please go follow through with that. We're all in this together, and hopefully we'll get out of this soon. So thank you very much.
Great stuff, Micah. Thank you. We're going to shift over to Health and Safety Director Curtis Bennett. Curtis?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Oh, okay, good. Much of what I was going to say, Micah put it quite well, and that's how pleased we are to see increased mask compliance amongst many in the ranks. And so thank you very much. It's vitally important that we continue to do that. And to that end, your health and safety division here, or the health and safety of the local here, has been working hand in hand with management in a program or on a program to help encourage continued mask use and receiving vaccinations. And it's an example of management and labor working collaboratively with the full support of the fire chief to address one of the most pressing problems facing us right now. So that's a great sign, and it speaks to the willingness of both sides to again work collaboratively to solve problems. So and thank you to everyone for what you do, and that's it.
Great, thank you, Curtis. And last but certainly not least, we have our Prop B representative, Abe Hunt. Abe, are you still there? I know we're having some technology issues earlier.
Yeah, I'm still here. Just there might be a little lag on my end. I don't really have anything. I appreciate you covering Prop B and where we're at with the Supreme Court rulings recently. I just want to remind people to go through and look. We're in a new tax year. We're in just go back and make sure your dependents are what they want to be, your beneficiaries are where they are, and just make sure your tax rate. You didn't make any changes over the summer when you're working a bunch of overtime and forgot about it, and now you've rolled into a new tax year. So just go back and look and reevaluate your just everything that with your retirement and your beneficiaries, and just make sure you're where you want to be with that. That's pretty much all I have. I appreciate, Jesse, you covering the Prop B thing for me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Abe. So that concludes the director reports, our update to you. And normally we would now open the floor for good of the order and field your questions, anything that we may not have covered. And so again, I just want to reiterate, please email those to us, reach out to your division reps, and we'll be sure to compile those questions and get answers out to you in the next couple of days. With that, it concludes our presentation. I just want to reiterate some of the things that you've heard on this call, and that is how proud we are of the membership and the good work that's being done out there. We're clearly in unprecedented times. You keep hearing that, and it is very true, going through the pandemic and budget crunch and all of this stuff. But we're tremendously proud of all of the firefighters stepping up, and we're doing new things, and we're seeing some expanded roles out there. We've got our folks serving as support for COVID division and taking care of our members who are impacted by COVID. We've got folks giving vaccines. We've got folks doing pilot programs to upstaff new units that are meant to take the burden off of some of the operations units that are being impacted as a result of all of this. And I just want to thank all of you for being patient through this process. And I want to encourage everybody to please remain patient, please remain positive, and continue doing what you do, working together, taking care of one another. and we'll get through all of this together. So with that, our next membership meeting is currently scheduled for March 16th and 17th. Now, we did look ahead. March 17th is St. Patrick's Day. Because it's a holiday, we thought we should probably delay that meeting by 1 week. And so we're going to set the next membership meeting for March 23rd and 24th, which is exactly 1 week later. The times will hopefully stay the same, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. And if anything changes between then and now and then, we'll definitely update you. So thank you for watching. We'll post this hopefully to our website, social media, and look forward to seeing everybody soon. Good night.